Exactly, it doesn't come. So the Quran is right, and the Muslims that say that the Torah and the Gospel are lost are wrong.
Yeah,
100%. I totally agree. Right, your Quran says something that's not true. Right, and would you agree if the Quran has errors in it, it's not from God?
There's no errors in the Quran.
Well, let me show you one. No, no questions.
Nothing.
Okay, right then. In that case, I've got a question for these two. How are you doing, guys? You all right? What's your name, bro?
Elias.
Elias and
Ahmed.
Erman.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. My name's Bob. So, you've seen me. I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Nice, Bob.
I'm always nice. I have a question for you. In terms of what Muslims believe, who did Jesus get sent to?
To the Christians.
To the Christians.
Yeah.
There were no Christians before Jesus.
To the Jews.
To the Jews, right. And then what did Jesus bring to the Jews according to Islam?
What do you mean, like, in terms of...
What revelation did he bring to the Jews?
Jesus died on the cross, right?
We're just having a conversation. Don't be rude. Yeah.
What did Jesus bring to the Jews?
Yeah.
He told them there's only one God. He told them
What revelation did he bring?
The Bible.
He brought the Injil.
The Injil.
Right. He brought the
The
Injil.
Bible. That's why I said the Bible.
Yeah. Well, the Bible is Torah, Zabur, and Injil. Okay. So we can't say Bible because we're talking about what Islam teaches, not what Christianity teaches. Okay? So if Jesus went to the Jews and he brought the Injil, what does the Quran call the followers of Jesus?
The followers of Jesus?
Yeah, what does the Quran call the followers of Jesus?
Not sure.
Calls the people of the gospel?
People of the scriptures.
He calls them Christians? Right. So if the Jewish followers of Jesus are called Christians, and those Jews are meant to follow the Injil, why does the Quran tell Jews to follow the Torah if the Torah has been replaced by the Injil?
The Quran says to the Jews, follow the Torah.
Yes, after he sent Jesus to the Jews. After he gave Jesus the Injil.
I'm not sure about that verse you're talking about.
Would you like me to show you?
Yeah.
Sure. It's totally fair. Now, would you agree?
I'm not saying it's wrong, but I just want to see it.
Yeah, sure. Would you agree with me that if Allah sends the Quran, it makes no sense for Allah to tell the Jews to follow the Torah because he sent the Quran? Well, I mean, logically, am I supposed to follow the Bible or am I supposed to follow the Quran?
If you're like, what do you mean? As in,
Well, from a Muslim perspective, am I supposed to follow the Torah or am I supposed to follow the Quran?
the Quran, because it's
The Quran, right. So now use that same logic. You think I should follow this book. So does it make sense that when Allah sends this book, he tells the Jews to follow the Injil, he tells the Christians to follow the Injil and the Jews to follow the Torah. Does that make sense?
okay.
Does it?
Yeah.
Doesn't, does it?
Kind of. He said, so for the Jews they have to follow the Torah,
Yes,
and the Christians follow the
correct.
Injil.
So who should follow the Quran then?
Muslims.
Muslims. So that means if we're saying that, that means that I shouldn't follow the
But
Quran, right?
They should you should keep searching, find knowledge.
Right. So should I follow?
It might look like other books,
So should I follow the Quran or not?
you should.
Right.
You should read it and see if it's...
So use your logic. I'm just asking you to think like reasonable human beings.
You're not meant to follow, just read it, find out, research.
No, I'm just asking, as a moral fact, should I follow the Quran or should I follow the Torah or should I follow the
Christian, I
Injil?
don't think you should follow it.
So as a Christian, you agree that I shouldn't follow the
You should
Quran?
see if it's convincing.
Okay. Let me just show you the passage that I'm talking about, okay? So in Surah 5:43, right? In Surah 5:43, it says this, okay? Right? This is Allah speaking to Muhammad, speaking to the Jews.
Quran.
Yeah, this is the Quran. It says this, but why do they come to thee, that's Muhammad, why do they come to thee for a decision when they have their own law, which is the word Torah, before them? Yeah. Therein is the plain command of Allah, yet even after that they would turn away, for they are not really people of faith.
Let me just read this.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So the Quran is telling Jews to follow the Torah, and it's doing that in the 7th century. It's doing that in the 7th century. Now, if Allah is telling the Jews to follow the Torah in the 7th century, is it logical and fair for me to conclude that the Torah is there in the 7th century to follow?
The Torah, not the Bible.
The Torah. Now,
There is difference.
now, let me show you another verse in the Quran. It says,
We know the experts. So.
yeah, in Surah 5:47, it says, let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah hath revealed therein. No. It says the people of the gospel. So which people are we talking about? Who's the people of the gospel?
Christians.
The Christians.
Yeah.
And we're being told by Allah to judge by what's in the gospel. Right. So would you agree with me that if Allah is telling Christians to judge by the gospel, that means the gospel is there in the 7th century to judge by? Because would it make sense for Allah to say to you, judge by the Quran if the Quran's not there? Do you agree that that's logical?
Not too sure.
So you're not sure that it's logical that Allah would say to you, judge by the Quran, so that means the Quran's got to be there. You think, you're not sure whether that's logical.
I don't get your point. That's the thing.
Did you get my point?
Yeah.
Right. Let's go over this very slowly.
Yeah.
If I ask you to judge by the Quran,
Yeah.
is the assumption that there is a Quran to judge by? Can you judge by the Quran if the Quran doesn't exist?
No.
Right, so do you see the logic yet? Mm-hmm. Right, so does it make sense to ask people to judge by the gospel if the gospel isn't there? No, it doesn't. So if Allah says to judge by the gospel, that means the gospel's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when was Allah speaking here? He was speaking to Muhammad in what century? In what century? 7th century.
What is it?
So that means the gospel is there in the 7th century. Mm-hmm. And when Allah says in the Quran, when he says judge by the Torah to the Jews, that means that the Torah is there in the 7th century, doesn't it? So would you agree with me that the Quran is saying that the Torah and the gospel are there in the 7th century?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now let me ask you this question. How many times have you heard Muslims say to one another that the gospel and the Torah has been lost?
Never heard of it.
You've never heard that. Never heard that at all. You've never heard you've never heard a Muslim say that the Torah or the gospel has been lost.
Like they have been corrupted, bro. Like,
So you have heard it.
Yeah.
You've heard that they've been corrupted.
yeah, like,
Right.
Or like what you said, lost.
So let me ask you this question. Who's right? Allah or the Muslims that told you that it got corrupted?
Of course, Allah.
Of course, Allah. But that means that the Muslims who told you
But it doesn't-
that the gospel and the Torah are lost, they're lying, aren't they? Against Allah.
But it doesn't like comply with the Quran.
You what?
It doesn't like comply with the Quran, you know.
Exactly, it doesn't come. So the Quran is right, and the Muslims that say that the Torah and the gospel are lost are wrong.
Yeah,
100%. I totally agree. As a Muslim, you've got to agree with Allah against any other Muslim. So if a Muslim tells you the Torah and the gospel are lost, but the Quran says the Torah and the gospel are there, then you've got to agree with.
How do those
right.
people know that they're lost?
Right, so now we have to do a bit of historical research. Now, are you aware that we have codexes? Do you know what a codex is? Do you know what a codex or a manuscript is? Do you want me to give you a quick education?
Yeah.
So codex or a manuscript is a historical document from centuries ago. Are you aware that we have decades of documents and manuscripts, in fact hundreds of documents and manuscripts from the 7th century that have the Injil and the Torah, and that we have them from the Middle East, the place where Muhammad was moving around and traveling, And we have them from north, what we call now Arabia. We've gotten them from northwest Arabia, right? So if we have documents from the 7th century that talk about the Torah and the Gospel, the Injil, and we have them from the 7th century in Syriac, which is the language that, Arabic emerged from, then do you not see that, and we have them in museums, we have them in libraries. That means that we have them today in the 21st century. Do you follow that logic?
Yes. What's the documentaries about?
What, sorry?
What's the documentaries about?
The documentaries?
Yeah. What are they about?
The documents.
Yeah, the documents.
So these documents, you can go and see them in libraries. We have them in London. We have them. We have earlier ones in London. We have them in America.
Just give me a brief explanation. Where is it about?
Right. So these documents, right? If I get out my Bible that's in my bag, and I go to these documents, what these documents teach from the 7th century is what my Bible from the 21st century teaches. So the Gospel of John in these 7th century documents looks like the Gospel of John today. The Gospel of Matthew, Mark and Luke look like the Gospels from the 7th century, look like the Gospels of Matthew, Mark and Luke today. And their theology is identical.
Nothing changed.
Not changed, not lost. So, and here's another thing that's going to blow your mind. We actually have documents of the Bible that predate the 7th century. Did you know that we've got Bibles in London? We've got Bibles in London. You come and stop being an irritable troll. Child, go away, child. Go away, you troll. Go away, you child. So, sorry about that. You just find some rude people here. So, if we compare, you go to the British Museum today, the British Library, you can do this today. You can literally go from here to there today and go and look at the Bibles that are inside the British Library from the 4th century.
They're in Greek.
They're in Greek. No, I think they're both in Greek, but one might be in Latin.
How do you know if they're translated to...
Let me finish. And go and compare those 4th century Bibles to the 7th century documents to the 21st century Bible, and they're all the same. Matthew is Matthew in all of them. Luke is Luke in all of them. Mark is Mark in all of them. John is John in all of them. Which means that we have historical evidence from the 4th century, the 7th century, and today, as well as the witness of your God, showing that the gospel has not been lost. Not been lost. Did you hear that? Not been corrupted. Not been lost. Now you wanted to ask a question. Go on.
You said the Bible was like in the 4th century in the museum.
Yeah.
They're in Greek.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
And now they're like in English. So you guys follow in English now.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
And how do you know if it's like translated correctly?
Right. Brother, if you go to
Have you seen like a Greek?
I'm going to reply to that. If you go to any of the Dawah tables that are around this park, they're giving away English Qurans. Should they be giving away English Qurans?
They come with translations.
No, you go and look at the Qurans that are given away by Muslims. They don't have the Arabic in, they just give away the translation. Should they be doing that?
I'm not sure.
Right. My point is, if Muslims can give away translations, why can't Christians give away translations?
But you haven't answered my question. You basically just answered.
Right.
You answered me with a question.
So maybe I missed your question. Say your question again.
I said the Bibles before they were in Greek.
Yes. The New Testament.
And
yes.
how do you know if they're translated to English correctly?
Okay. So how do we know?
Have you seen like a verse?
Yeah. So let's look at that. How do we know? Because just as you've got Muslims who translate the Quran into different languages, so we've got Christians who translate the Bible into different languages, and linguists. Here's the difference.
Otherwise, I wouldn't understand. If I go reading Quran, Bible, I don't know Quran.
Let me answer his question, because the thing is, when the Christian linguists translate the Bible, they work in committees and groups. So one academic is checking another academic's work. But you go and look at how Muslims translate their Quran. It's just one person translating the Quran into English. There's no peer review. There's no academic checking academic. You know, Yusuf Ali does his translation. This Muslim does that translation.
But we have memorized our books. We know if it's like correct or wrong.
So let me ask you this question, right? Arabic is the language that you say Allah revealed his book in, right? Why should I bow down to the Arabs and say that the Arabs and their language and their culture is better than mine? Why can't, is your God not, is he not able to speak in English?
He is. He can do
So
anything.
if he can do anything and speak in any way, why can't he reveal his revelation in any way?
He sends prophets for the purpose.
And who's the prophet to the Anglo-Saxons, which are my people, my tribe? Who taught my people, the Anglo-Saxons, monotheism? There was no prophet in Islam. There was no prophet of Islam that came to the English.
We have the same prophets coming.
No.
Moses, Jesus, they came to you guys.
Let me show you a promise that's in your Quran, because you've got a problem here, right? Your Quran says something that's not true, right? And would you agree if the Quran has errors in it, it's not from God?
There's no errors in the Quran.
Well, let me show you one.
I don't have that much knowledge. You're testing me.
That is, don't worry. I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm just trying to ask you to think logically. That's all I'm doing. Brother, can one of you Google where Allah says he sends a prophet in his own people? Just let me see if I can find it. Bear with us 1 second. 1636, it says this: "For we are assuredly sent amongst every people." Now, you know that we Saxons have our own history, our own language, and our own culture. Very barbaric, very violent culture. That's why we conquered the world, right? But we are a people. Never sent a prophet to the Anglo-Saxons. We know our history.
How do you know that?
How do we know that? Because I know it amazes Muslims, but you're not the only students of history. We have our own history, guys.
Yeah, so, you
know, Arabs aren't the only ones that have a history. I know that's shocking, but it's true.
So you're saying they haven't been like...
It's never, you know the people that were Christians, that Christianism to the English were Christians. People like Saint Augustine, Saint Cuthbert. You know, who are the Celtic saints? Not Saint Patrick. He actually went to the Celts. Though ironically, Saint Patrick is an Anglo-Saxon saint who. So it was Christians that taught the Anglo-Saxons monotheism. But your prophet says this: "I'm holding your God to his promise." It says, "For we assuring you." He's saying definitely this. With the command, serve Allah and eschew evil of the people who will come, Allah is guided. So if he's sending a prophet to the English, what language would that prophet speak? English. Brilliant. There you go. You can do logic. So the reality is that we know our history. Go and read Bede. Do you know who Bede is? He's a historian that tells the history of the English people. And what does he say? He says that the until the church taught Christianity, and then came to the worship of one God. JC, where's he gone? Where was the other verse? 14 what? 14:4. Let's right now. If your Quran says something that's wrong, right? Would you agree that it's not from Allah?
There's no mistakes in the Quran.
So why is it saying that Allah sent a prophet to the English? Look. Says, "We send not a messenger except to teach in the language of his own people." Now, let me ask you this question. When did English emerge as a language?
I have no clue.
Right?
We know the experts, so you're just asking us.
Yeah. So English emerged after the first century. Are you aware that languages are still evolving?
No.
Right. So there are new languages emerging, and those languages are the first cornerstone of creating a new people, right? But here Allah says, "We sent not a messenger except to teach in the language of his own people." So, but then you're telling me that Muhammad is the final prophet and that we should accept an Arabic book.
Well, the people people before had their own prophets, so
So this is not referring to the English.
it's just to everyone in general.
Right, but the English people have no Islamic prophet.
They have, but maybe like.
Where's your evidence for this claim?
I'm not sure. I'm not the expert. I told you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My point to you is, right, just recap and re-summarize what we've discussed, right? Your Allah testifies that my Torah and Injil was there in the 7th century. We have 7th century documents from the Middle East in museums and libraries today that you can research yourself. You can go away and study them, and they teach what my Bible in the 21st century has, right? And you can compare those 7th century documents and those 21st century documents to the 4th century documents that you can find in the British Library today. Yeah, in the British Library today, yeah, and you find that 4th century, 7th century, 21st century documents all line up. Which means that when your teachers say the Torah and the Injil have been lost, they're lying to you, and you have to decide what to believe in. But here's the final crunch.
I've seen some verses that he said 4th century, the Bible in the 4th century, and now they're the same. They're correct. They correct each other.
So they correct each other in what sense?
Verses, yeah. I mean, like the meaning, the translation is right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's accurate.
I've seen some verses, but not like full Bible.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, I want to tell you that your da'i and your teachers in the mosque, they're lying to you. They are literally lying to you, and you need to think for yourselves. You need to think for yourselves. You know, and so
obviously they have more knowledge than us. We try to learn for them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if a teacher is telling you lies, then maybe you shouldn't learn them.
It's not lies.
Right. So here's how you can know.
What do you mean by lies? Like,
Yeah, like, as in they are.
So you stated
There's two kinds of lies: a lie that comes from ignorance and a lie that comes from deceit.
just name one line.
Right. So here's a lie. Here's a lie. Right.
so
Here's a lie. Here's a lie that Muslims teach you in the mosque that is not true. That we as Christians have lost our Bible. It's been corrupted and can't be trusted. That is a lie. That is a lie.
We don't speak about other religions.
And your scholars do all the time. The da'i in this corner do all the time.
Mosque.
Yeah.
The mosque we just like we talk about the teachings of the prophets. And
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah. When Muslims make this lie, they've got to prove it. And what do they go to when they try and prove it? They go to what's called textual variance. Now, I'm guessing you guys are students, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you wrote a 2,000-word essay, and I came along and I changed a couple of words, but the words that I changed didn't change the meaning, would you agree that even though...
it's changed.
But just do this thought experiment with me, right? If I changed the essay, but none of the changes of the essay changed the thesis of the essay, would you...
Sense. You still changed it.
No, you're not thinking logically. Because remember, I know this shocks you guys, but you're not the only ones that have ever studied anything. If someone...
Is the Quran changed? Is the Quran ever changed?
What you see? Can I? You see, the thing is, bro, what you're doing right now is you're jumping on this word change, and you're ignoring the point that I'm making.
No, I get your point, but
No, what is my point? What is my point? You said you did it.
said that. So if I write an essay, yeah. So if I write an essay, the meaning I'm writing, yeah. I get your point, but
So what's my point?
could you say it?
There you go. You didn't listen.
I do know you.
No, you didn't listen, because what you heard is you heard the word change, and then you jumped to that word. That proves something.
They're different words, but they're the same.
So let me make
So
my
they
point
changed it.
again.
Okay.
Let me make my point again. Let's say you write an essay, right? And I come along and I change, your tutor comes along and he corrects a couple of your words. He changes your words. Because say you put the wrong there in, you used T-H-E-R-E rather than T-H-E-I-R, right? Has he changed the thesis or just changed the words?
Just words.
He's just changed the words. Would you agree that the thesis remains unchanged? Yes, you know the word. You know the answer's yes. bro. So my point, now that I've proven my point to you logically, that when Muslims talk
Why
about,
would it be changed?
Why would it make sense?
so if you write T-H-E-R-E when you should write T-H-E-I-R, and I change your word, but I don't change what you mean, your meaning has remained the same, but your words have been changed. Thank you. Yes, you see, it wasn't hard, and you guys can do logic. Great. Now, yeah, of course. Let me just finish my point, and then you can jump in. So my point to you is that the New Testament definitely has had word changes. We Christians know that. We admit that. We talk about that.
So there's words changing, but like.
But the message has not been changed. The thesis of the Gospels has not been lost. And if you know what the thesis is, you know that the Gospel message is reliable.
What do you mean by thesis?
So the thesis is the argument that is being made. You know, and the argument of the Gospels is that Jesus is the Messiah of Israel. Your sister, you had a question.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, these guys are wanting to pull you away. You've been really lovely. I want to give you a gift, bro, before you go away. The thing is, da'i like this, they're frightened of us talking to Muslims, so they always try to pull Muslims away because they're scared. Because if I, man, he'll run away, and you'll see that in a second. Because I'm going to go and debate. Sister.
So, you know when you said the word has been changed, but the thesis hasn't been changed?
That's for you. That's for you. Okay. Yeah, of course.